2018's animated Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse film was always going to be a hit. That's because everybody knows Spider-Man. Hell, even if you don't follow superheroes or read comics, you know who Spider-Man is. He ranks up there with Batman and Superman as one of the most recognizable characters in the history of comics. Now, Spider-Man is also one of the most lucrative film characters in all of cinema. But this was a much bigger hit than they anticipated. Its unique style of combining computer-generated animation along with hand-drawn animation and superb voice work by its cast propelled it to success, and it introduced us to the Miles Morales version of the Spider-Man character. It was both a critical and commercial success, even winning an Academy Award for the Best Animated Feature Film of 2018. Now, you combine all of this, and what do you get? Well, you get sequel. We all knew it was coming, but it took 5 years to get here. And finally, we have been given Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Now, 2018 was a very different time in terms of superhero movies. Marvel was riding high with its Infinity Stone saga, and the superhero films, especially anything affiliated with Marvel, were cash cows. Now, 5 years later, things are a bit different. Superhero fatigue has begun to set in. We've seen many recent films struggle under the weight of poor quality and terrible writing. So, will Across the Spider-Verse be another quality film and moneymaker, or will it sink under the weight of current superhero fatigue? Well, before we get into that, let's talk a little about the plot. And as always, I will not spoil it. So, we begin with Gwen Stacy, another alternate version of the Spider-Man character, struggling to live up to expectations of her policeman father, who does not know that she is Spider-Woman. Now, years prior, Gwen accidentally killed her best friend Peter Parker while he was mindlessly rampaging as the Lizard, and the police have been hunting her ever since. Now, one night, Gwen goes to the Guggenheim Museum in Manhattan after hearing reports of an intruder, only to run into a version of the Vulture that comes from the Italian Renaissance. This is an Italian Renaissance-themed universe, and honestly, I kind of wouldn't mind seeing what this looked like, but let's not get sidetracked. Spider People, Miguel O'Hara, and Jessica Drew arrive using portal-generated watches and help Gwen subdue the Vulture. Gwen is confronted on the scene by her father and reveals to him her identity. Distraught at this revelation, he attempts to arrest her. She escapes, however, through a dimensional portal with the others after O'Hara begrudgingly grants her membership into the Spider Society. Now, back in Brooklyn, on Earth 1610, Miles Morales is adapting to being Spider-Man while missing Gwen and struggling to live up to his parents' expectations. While heading to a parent-teacher evaluation, he encounters the Spot, a scientist whose body was infused with portals after the Alchemax Collider explosion in the last movie. Blaming Miles for his dilemma, the Spot brings Miles to Alchemax. He then accidentally transports himself into a void where he learns to travel to other universes that contain the Alchemax Collider so he can use them to empower himself. And from here, the movie takes off into a mad dash across multiple Spider-Verses, where we meet multiple Spider-Men and Spider-Women and Spider-Things, including a universe that has a Spider-Dinosaur and a Spider-Man car and a Cat Spider-Man. We even meet a multiple universe Spider-Man complex where Spider-Mans from hundreds and thousands of different versions live. Now, most of your main voice cast is back, with Shamik Moore voicing Miles Morales, Hallie Steinfeld voicing Gwen, and Jack Johnson voicing Peter Parker version of Spider-Man. So where do we begin with this? Let's do things a little different this time. Let's do a little pro versus con. We'll start with the pro. Now, much like its predecessor, the animation is breathtaking. It's colorful. It's well done. Each character is able to emote without looking overly computer generated. I mean, I've seen live action movies look less real than this. It's that good. The plot is put together pretty well. It's difficult when you're dealing with multiversal themes to keep the plot working and keep it, making sense for people to understand. I mean, look back at Doctor Strange last year. I still don't know what that movie was about, and honestly, I don't care because it was pretty much crap. This is smart, with decent gags and good dialogue that come across as real, with quality voiceover work by your entire cast. Our cons, well, it's long, and I mean, you really feel it. The last movie was only about an hour and 40 minutes. This one's almost 2 hours and 20. And there were parts when I was scrolling through my phone, and it didn't feel like I missed anything. And also, while the animation is brilliant, there are times where there is just so much shit on the screen to look at, so much color, it's a bit distracting. And honestly, if you suffer from photosensitive epilepsy, man, this isn't the movie for you. And the emphasis on the side characters at the expense of the main character, that's a bit distracting at times. But really, none of this that I have just mentioned is enough to derail this movie. No, it's not as good as the first one. And yes, it's a clear setup for a third film. So it has no real payoff or conclusion. It cannot stand on its own. It's still a smart, fun, and heartfelt film worth your time, especially if you like the first one. So let's give this film a 7 out of 10 and a recommendation to see it in the theaters. This way you can appreciate the distinctive animation style. But, maybe take a couple Tylenols with you for the headache you may get. And as always, if you like what you heard, click the like button, subscribe, leave a comment. And if you did not like what you heard, well, thank you for your time, and you have a good week.